Right, how are we all? Thank you for coming back. My name's Andy. If you didn't already know it. So yeah, this week, or today, I've got a couple of rehouses that I've sort of done recently. Whereas I've got a leopard gecko, baby leopard gecko, that was in this enclosure. He's now been upgraded to something bigger. He's gained a bit of size, so I've got a big glass enclosure for him to go in eventually, a big exoterra, but he's not quite ready for that yet. So what I basically did was I took his enclosure and I've given that to my LP, and the enclosure my LP was in, which is, you'll see, is the same size, I've given to my hamorii, but in the past I've used this enclosure for more drier living species anyway, so it's got holes drilled all around it and a lot more ventilation around towards the bottom to keep it drier, whereas this one has only got holes in the lid, so I'm hoping that it'll help keep the humidity levels and the moisture levels up in there, and better suited for this LP. And this one obviously will be better suited to the hamorii. So yeah, I've got, well, there's a little bit of the builds. There isn't much of an enclosure build to it, to tell you the truth. It's just some substrate, a hide, water ball and a bit of moss in both cases, but there is some pretty cool footage of them both, so I hope you enjoy it, and we'll crack on. Cheers. So like I mentioned, first thing was getting the enclosure set up, and so this was a relatively basic setup, to tell you the truth. This is a 9 litre really useful box that this one's going into. So you can see there we've got some substrate, which is just Westland topsoil, a bit of cockback for a hide, a water ball and some damp moss. This is a rolled enclosure, which is pretty much exactly the same tub. It's just that this was used, I can't remember what was in it before, but I know I've used it mainly for drier species, so it's got a lot more ventilation, and I just wanted to give this one something that had a little bit more moisture to it, really, or something that would retain the moisture better. So here we are, getting her in the cup. She's usually not too badly behaved, if I'm honest. She does have a bit of a flick every now and again, but yeah, on the whole she's quite okay. She's a bit of a lunatic at feeding time, but that happens with a lot of teas, doesn't it? I do apologise for the flashing. I was in the living room and the telly was on at the time, so the light's a bit up and down. And there we are, there's that flicking that I mentioned. But she climbed the cup pretty easy. Good chance to get a good view over there. Here we have it, going back in. If I'm honest, this was relatively stress free. I just backed her up with a little wooden skewer and she was fine. There we have a really good view of her. You see those hairs on her abdomen, that pink colour. I know a lot of people just say they're a big brown spider, but they are one of my favourites. I think they're massively underrated. And here we are, bit of light on the situation now, and she's just taking a little stroll, getting used to a new environment. So we move on now. We've got the female Brachypelma hamorii. Now this one is a hair flicker, and there you see, right off the bat, a little bit of a close-up. Luckily, this all happened inside the cup, so I didn't end up with any hairs in my arm or anywhere. I was quite lucky, I suppose. If I hadn't got the cup over it beforehand, it could have been a totally different story. Just give her a minute in that cup just to settle. And again, the enclosure for this one is the one that the LP's just come out of, so I've put some fresh substrate in, a little bit of fresh damp moss, and as you'll see here, I move her over inside the container still, and I just leave her there for a minute or so, just while I've moved out some of the dry moss and some of the substrate from her old enclosure, just to basically dust the top over. There's a bit of a webbing went in there. There wasn't a lot in the old enclosure, but I did move it over. And you can see we're just giving her a little nudge to take it down. See, I know the focus isn't great, but she obviously has different intentions to myself. Her feet touch the substrate, and they tell her like she's gone again. So yeah, just gently working her down. And as you can see, she wasn't too keen on the idea. But there we have it, she's on that substrate, her feet catch it, and she feels safe, and off she goes. So I think you'll agree, another stunning spider. Nice close up over there, and again, she's another one I just let her take a little wander, get used to a new environment. Flick of hairs there, just so I was guiding her back in. So there she is, Brachypelma hamorii female. You may have seen I have got a male to pair with her further down the line. But yeah, another stunning spider, one that everybody should have in their collection. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Like I say, they were pretty chilled rehouses in both cases. This hamorii is a bit of a hair flicker, as you see. She can be a pain in the ass. I have only owned her since just before Christmas, and obviously she was rehoused then and has been rehoused again, so this will be a home for a long time now, so hopefully she might calm down as things go on. And the LP, I mean, she's always pretty well behaved, apart from feeding time when she's a bit of a lunatic. But I've got to say, like I say, she's always pretty good, and I do think she's probably one of the most underrated species of them all. And LPs get a lot of flack as just being a big brown spider, but I think the big is the operative word in that, because once they get to full size, especially this one is a female, once she reaches full size and she's in a big glass enclosure, then it's just going to look awesome. So yeah, that's them two. That's me done. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Ta-da.